All meeting to order with everyone present. We have three miscellaneous items. First of all, on the agenda. First off is the Freeport Property IRP request. Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I got some appraisal. Got a couple copies here if they want. But once. Give us something to go on anyway.
Yeah. How would we like to proceed with this?
I don't think.
We have to,
Did we set one or we got to set one?
we would have to set one. Yes.
So we'll put that on the agenda for next Monday to set the public hearing. I'll put a note here for Ben, put that on the agenda, set public hearing for the Freeport Property IRP request.
This is the asking price per acre. That's what everyone is.
Well, it'll go up for public auctions.
Oh, that's correct.
Yeah. It's gonna go up for public auctions. I mean, this gives us something to go by.
Based by.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess. Maybe just wanna contact them and tell them. So,
Did Ben see a copy?
no, I just got it. No, so you take, here's one. You can take that.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda, notice to proceed, Festina sewer project.
And I have a document here. It's the, would be the one that you would be signing, Dan, as the owner for moving ahead on this, though. You guys are
We need
no
a,
inclined. You'll be able to do a motion on that.
Move to proceed.
Second.
we have a motion and a second for notice to proceed with the Festina sewer project. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Carries unanimously. Next on the agenda, a resolution to commit 1.5 million for Winneshiek County Conservation Board's statewide transportation alternatives program grant. And this all kind of came up in a hurry, and by the time we had to post the agenda, we weren't real sure if where we were at with this. If you want to speak on part of this, Barb?
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
It was brought to my attention from last week's meeting, that the transportation, the policy board chair, Mark Vick, was, had mentioned that we were leaving 10 million on the table and that, I looked through the grant, looked at the project. And so with the timeline, it's due today at 5, which I can get it done. I've worked on it over the weekend, even after what you said.
Okay.
And I've got an appointment with an engineer at 1. So, I can raise $1 million, but I can't raise 2.5 million, which would be the matching money for that 10 million. So, so that's where I needed to come to you folks. If you want us to work on that trail to Minnesota, it would connect the Prairie Farmer And then that's a huge link because the Transportation Enhancement Committee has been working on what we call the Backbone Trail, which is from Minnesota down to the Prairie Farmer, then over to Fayette County, and then into Clayton County, and then crossing at the Cassville Ferry and to Wisconsin. So that's the Backbone Trail. So the grant would score very high. You've got that connection to Minnesota, so it's interstate, it's regional, it's statewide significance. It checks all the boxes. The only box I can't check is the money. And it came about quick. I didn't hear about the meeting and what was said until Tuesday night. And so I contacted Ben. He said he had already posted the agenda and would need to repost. And so that's unfortunate timing. But I didn't know if over the weekend, if you found some money and it changed your mind, but if you had, I can still submit today. So,
Wish we could have came up with 1.5 million.
We had longer notice. I mean, it's been out there for a while. Didn't know nothing about it till this $10 million.
you could have come up with it.
No, I'm just saying the $10 million, had we known about the $10 million grant out there.
Well, I hadn't been working on that. It wasn't on my radar. I've been working on the dry run trail
But
and,
I mean, this money was out there for the county to get.
Only if we can match 20%.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of hard to know one day before it's due. You just can't come up with money right off the top of our hat. Had we known a month ago, we could have, looked into something or did something. But you-
well, did the policy board know?
Oh,
I guess,
Well, the enhancement committee is the one that, you're on the enhancement committee, right?
right, but I've missed the
That's what
last,
comes, that's good it comes to you. I mean, yeah.
right, but I've missed the meetings with.
All
family.
I hear is policy board is just tidbits. I mean, the enhancement committee is what, Rod is it whatever the head.
Right,
president of the hands, he always stops or stays for the policy board. That's the only reason I had found out about it.
okay. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And just so you folks know, the dry run trail is a major project. It's taking a lot of, it has all of the county conservation board money locked up as matching money. So we have no matching money for any more grants. And so it takes all of my time. So I wasn't looking to start another project, but if you folks wanted to do this and you had the match, I just, we're willing to work with you and I made the effort. So, and, yeah, it is a great project, but, when I started here, we were doing the Prairie Farmer and the Dry Run Trail at the same time. And it's too much to do two trails at once, but, I didn't have any choice at that time and, if we were back to that, here we go again. So we were willing to do that if we had that matching money.
Yeah, just to clarify for everybody else, this was a $10 million project with a 25% match, 20%.
Yes.
Okay. And unfortunately, we can't help Barb out
Have
with
$1
the
million
match.
right off.
Even 3 weeks ago, we couldn't have done that.
No,
We haven't got that kind of extra cash laying around.
boy, I wish we did, but
Wish we did too.
And I appreciate you considering it. And, the grant is pretty much ready to go. So in the future, and you're saying in last week that this was a one-time shot. Well, there's been several of those one-time shots that we've been, that come around every now and then. So many of them, they have to be shovel ready. You have to be ready to go. They aren't going to fund a project that you still have to plan. So, some of this groundwork got done over I've had 6 days now to work on this grant. So, we're closer to, really being ready if there were an opening where we got the dry run done and then could work on the next grant
So a lot of this.
or next trail.
That you did for this grant, you can use if another.
Oh, yeah.
Sport.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
this, you know, so many of the questions are the same,
Okay.
it's transportation related, it's tourism related. So, yeah, economic development and, and this is a phenomenal project. We just, it's been going back and forth, should it be in Howard County? Should it be in Winneshiek County? When it's in Winneshiek County, it's a lot more expensive because the terrain, it's not quite as bad over in Howard County. So we're kind of passing the project back and forth and neither one of us were in a position to really pick up the project. So,
So you mean Howard County is not pursuing it either?
no.
So there is a chance this money may still.
No, the Howard County applied for 3 million of it.
Well,
The enhancement board, that's what they agreed for. They applied for 3 million of it for a project.
yeah, his county conservation board did not want to apply for this. They have a project they're working on right now and they wanted to finish that. They didn't want him working on 2 projects. The other thing is, this is a statewide grant. Somebody else in Des Moines or,
Yeah,
Iowa City,
statewide, depends upon how it scores, which
you know,
connecting the two states together would be a high score.
Really increases the score.
But that's
Yeah.
how they work.
yeah. So that's why it was, beneficial for us, but,
So for upcoming grants, if they do come out, that option for scoring a grant well is still there.
oh, it's always going to be there. It's always going to be there. Now, whether the 10 million is always going to, the 10 million is not always going to be there, but who knew there was going to be 10 million? These things pop up from time to time. Last year was Destination Iowa, and there were millions of dollars available at that time. We put in for a $9 million grant, and but it was highly competitive. You just you're not always going to get everyone.
This came about, they used to give $1 million grant out. They didn't give nothing out last year. So then this year they changed that million to 5 million. So since they didn't give nothing out last year, they made it 10 million. So that's how the 10 million come about for a 1-year deal.
But we
How
don't,
I don't, yeah, that's how they
we
explain it.
don't have the finances, we don't have the
Yeah.
human capital.
And that's where the 10 million comes from,
Sounds like.
because they upped the 1 to 5 and then they didn't give nothing out last year, so they figured that as a $5 million a year, and this year they grouped it all together, so,
Well,
yeah.
and there could be a chance where they don't fund projects. And some of that could roll over, so we just I don't have a crystal ball. I really don't. So,
I think in the future, it is the ultimate link to bridge the states together.
right. But I think Howard County and Winneshiek County and, we need to work together and figure out what is the most economical trail rather than just, drawing some lines on a map and throwing a grant together. That's what I did. And it's not the best trail. It really isn't, but it's a trail. But, I've, working with some of the landowners and our trail enthusiasts, they're like, oh, Barb, you need to have the trail here. That'd be so much better than having it over, we don't want it along the highway. That's a terrible trail, and those are the folks that are out using the trails. We've got to listen to what they want to. But I do have a Zoom meeting coming up with the Minnesota folks to find out, where are they coming in? I'm assuming it's 139, but I have no idea where they're planning to have a link to Iowa. Because, all of a sudden there's going to be a trail to Iowa and now we have to match it and we have to work with landowners, or that's why I'm assuming it's on 139 where it would be on the shoulder of a highway. Because, you can't just expect a landowner to then work with you just because there's another trail coming in. We don't have, when we work with trails, I can't use eminent domain. That's off the table completely. I do not get to use that, unlike roads. Bike trails and recreational trails, we can't do that. So we have to have willing landowners when we work on trail projects. And that's part of the reason they take so long. And on the Dry Run Trail, we had flooding in 2017 that took out part of the old rail bed. And so we had to reroute. And it's like starting over again. And so then you had to have, all the NEPA studies, the archaeology, the wetland studies, all of those studies had to be redone. Then new appraisals, because you got new land. So it's a long process. So,
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in, Barb.
okay. Thanks for your time.
Make sure we correct the narrative here, though. 10 million wasn't left on the table. We don't have the money to match it.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the what's up here.
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Next on the agenda, 9:45, Andy Vandermotten, County Attorney, legal questions regarding agenda and other issues.
Good morning.
Good morning, Andy. Do you have anything for us this morning?
I do not. I did see on the agenda the IRP discussion. I missed that earlier, but when you decide what direction you're going and can get me a legal description, I can start working on the paperwork for you to, if you're going to move forward with the sale of that property, I'll need that information. I did send out a draft RFP to Steve and to Shirley, who had talked to me about HR consultants, and that is at least a rough draft is in their hands so that we can fine tune that and hopefully get it to the board in the next couple of weeks. Beyond that, I don't think I have anything.
With the description part of it?
Or we can do that.
Yeah, would you have time after the meeting, Andy, for Mark and I to meet with you to go over that IRP thing?
I am not in the office this week.
Oh,
I was wondering if we shouldn't just add discussion of Freeport property to Monday's agenda to do all this in the open and then proceed from there with setting the public hearing.
Will you be back next month? We gotta do that from last week's.
Yeah, I'll be in with you next week, Monday.
and then that other matter that we had on our closed session. Go over that. So you'll be
Sure.
you'll be back next Monday?
Yes.
We'll plan on that then next Monday after the meeting.
Yeah. And Dan, if you and Mark want to give me a call when you finish the meeting, I can certainly talk to you.
Oh, okay.
And we can kind of walk through some of this and bring me up to speed on it. It'd be good.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. Does anyone here have anything for Andy? You should be good to go, Andy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'll talk to you in a little bit then.
Last proposals, when I did have a chance to go through it very
Yep.
thoroughly.
I emailed them. Let them know that too.
So back to IRP, you want to skip setting the public hearing next? Do you want to just do discussion and then go move ahead?
Maybe do a discussion and possible set public hearing.
That might be the way to go.
Yeah.
Just put them both on the agenda.
Agenda.
That way you're open for.
That way the discussion leads to an agreement to
Go forward.
Forward. Yeah, just do it all in one, be done.
what do we have for consent agenda?
Okay, consent agenda, you got claims, you saw those. And we have minutes. Last meeting.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
Can we wait till the end of the meeting? Start looking at these. Did you already read through them?
We have 10 minutes.
I did not yet.
Tony, do you know that CFI Telecom is part of the backbone of our phone system?
It is a thing that we share with the city
Right.
as to how it is incorporated into our system. John would best speak to that.
But that's what it ties to.
Yeah, it's split with, we have the slightly larger share as being the largest user. And we split it and send a check to the city and then they make the payment with a payment function.
Is everyone going around with signatures?
Yes.
Yeah. And the $85,000 expenditure on WCDI.
That's the when you sign off on the budget for each year, and that's their amount that they request, and we release it upon the letter from them saying we release the funds.
All right, we have a motion on the consent. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. Is there any further discussion? None, all those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Any committee reports? Probably not this week.
Northeast Iowa Community Action tonight. Pretty quiet week.
I've got a HOF meeting today and county social services on Wednesday.
I've got a workforce development board emergency meeting on Wednesday. They have a problem, which I haven't, fully understand yet. And then we did clear out, we're still waiting. The court system has had a fellow come and measure for the shelves for the storage of their records. And that's still progressing. We don't have a date yet on that.
I had a citizen ask why we don't, on the minutes, the attendance of the new supervisors are here is not posted. Is that possible to post that on the?
It's referenced if a supervisor's not here. So if there's no reference, all supervisors are here.
Those also note if somebody is by Zoom.
Yes, and if they are attending remotely.
Yeah, if you look at this week's mark, it does say for all supervisors present, all the electronic. On the top line.
I was processing something mentally here. Let's go back to consent agenda. Mark Vick submitted the motion. Who was the second? Shirley. That's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
Don't want to go to jail.
No.
has been on all the minutes. If I remember correctly, it's the top line of most of the
Yeah,
minutes.
it's been a while since I.
Yeah.
You have a question?
What is the state of the sound system?
Pretty much the same it's been. It's a wait and go.
They're testing this week. Right now they're trying to, and I haven't noticed because I'm not online. Today is the first time they're trying to track, like if somebody's talking, the old way used to be on that person talking. I don't know what people online are seeing right now, but they're trying that today. And they've got the company coming in again, I think this week, to make sure that those are on for you to hear us through those, because you can't hear us through those right now, correct? You can hear
You could hear Ann.
Andy. When Andy's online, it goes through those, but we don't go through those yet, and they're working on that next.
Not hearing a thing that's happening at the
I'm
time.
sorry. And that is something they're working on right now.
I appreciate the update.
Thank you for asking.
It would help if you could remember a public voice.
Thanks. Try to do that.
Grounds department was really mad at the weatherman this morning
A lot of ice.
because it wasn't a half inch and a dusting.
Bit more.
Holiday Lights is open for those that want to drive through. It's a nice fundraiser for helping services. Very festive.
As the minutes, have they made their way back yet? I think they're still working their way around.
We did, I guess, before, we did have a meeting with our architect on the courthouse and the roofer on the roof last week, Tony,
That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, to try to mitigate the problem of the lead insulation failure of the fastening bar. Come up with a solution on it and what we have to do with the warranty ad issue relating to the products. So we may have a resolve. It's still, now it's up in the air, but not yet resolved.
I think it was a very productive with both of them.
The installation contractor was very cooperative.
Very.
Who's
So
going to
then-
finally be the one that says, yes, we owe you?
That will be between the manufacturer of the product most probably and our county attorney
So they are acknowledging the problem.
to a degree. Only replacement of the materials. The labor issue is still up in the air, and the extent of the repair because of their failure. And then possibly another issue with the materials beyond the EPM fabric.
I get the feeling that Carlisle is somebody there's checking boxes of how far you push the owner. And then you get to a certain point, then they give in. I think they're used to people giving up before we get to this point.
Keep pushing.
Oh, we are.
Thank you.
So will this include replacement of the insulation or?
Well, that's part of it. They did a thermal imaging of the roof to discover where water intrusion exists. And that comes from that wet spot. And it's in numerous places. So it would mean replacement all the way around the perimeter.
That's big.
It is.
But the
Some people-
lifespan of that replacement though, from what I gathered from the conversation between the roofer and Bethany was it'd be significant lifespan.
Do you want to update folks in the audience who aren't really aware of what we're talking about?
There was an issue with how the roofing material attached to the edge of the building, which several instances created a water intrusion that went underneath the roofing material and onto the insulation between the roof structure, wood structure and the insulation material, which left, possibility for damage in the future. So all of that is being addressed to get it mitigated so that we're not in that situation and we're in with a long-term roof instead of something that's already failed in just a matter of 2 years.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Next on the agenda, next Rissman, Interim County Engineer, road projects. Project updates.
Don't have a whole lot for you this morning. Over the weekend on Saturday night, we did have 1.5 to 2 inches of snow, so we were out plowing on Sunday. We did have a call with a vehicle in the ditch on Whitetail Road Hill by the quarry. What we ended up doing there is actually just closing the road overnight rather than trying to take care of this situation late last night. And so that road was closed overnight. Other than that, just letting you know that we're going to be starting to cut brush this week. This week looks like a pretty good week. We got colder temperatures at the beginning of the week here and starting to get in the 40s. So we'll be cutting brush this week with the good weather. Sounds like on Saturday we got 1 to 3 inches coming Saturday night, but we'll address that. The other thing that I was going to talk about is radar speed signs. I did contact the DOT and they indicated that those signs that you're seeing coming into town, like in Kilmer and everything, those, because they're on a state route, is where that grant came from. There is no other specific grant. They did give me another lead to look into, but that's something where it's, you have to submit it at a specific date. And it has to be reviewed. So as of right now, there's nothing that you can go out to get those 2 signs. So I think if you want me to proceed, that we just go ahead and proceed with getting those 2 signs and we can continue looking for grants on the grander scheme of everything.
But is it the battery failure or the technology itself inside?
I know the battery has failed multiple times on these 2, but I don't know the specifics on it. I think there might be more than just the battery, but I know the battery has failed.
3,000 piece.
Correct.
They do slow people down. I think we should replace them as they break and still go after grants in the long run. That's just how I feel about it. I'd rather not have somebody get killed because somebody's speeding and then we feel bad that we didn't replace that sign because they do work.
I'd agree that we need to replace them.
I had a visitor in town and they remarked, "Oh, those speed signs that don't work anymore." So if we're not gonna fix them, then we should take them down. That's the other.
My response would have been, well, we're not going to replace signs that do work, so just hold on. Is there any kind of consensus here? I don't know if we really need to make a motion if there's a consensus.
Oh, they're covered in your budget, correct?
Correct.
So it's really. I would support replacing them.
Yeah, I'm supportive if you think they're beneficial as a county engineer.
Is there just one company that makes them? Or is there?
No, there's multiple.
The guy has problems with the one repeatedly, I guess.
You probably don't know the exact age of these ones that have failed.
Off the top of my head, I do not know.
Yeah.
I think it was 5 or 6, somewhere around there in 2018, I think is when I thought I had.
Okay, I guess that's.
That's about my recollection. It kind of started with Frank building. They were having a lot of problems there. And the sheriff put somebody over there to write a few tickets. That kind of helped. But rather than deploy personnel just for that, I think that's kind of when we started thinking about that.
I one in Frankville works for me.
You mean it flashes at you?
It slows me down. So I think they do. I'm speaking from my experience, they work.
Yeah, I'd say if we have a continuous problem with the company we're with. Check,
Find another company.
to see.
You use them in Howard County?
I do not have any in Howard County. Some of the cities themselves have put them up, but I have not put them up in Howard County.
Anyone have anything else for Nick?
No.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Did they get that one grader back here, didn't they? The
Yeah, the one that
Remand one?
Yeah, down in Ames. Yeah, that's back.
Any reports on how that looks? I mean,
I have not seen it, I guess, and I didn't ask that question specifically. But I mean, I've had work done from Browns before, not an overhaul like that, but everything is kind of really worked out for them, so.
Do you find on the Howard County equipment that you've got that much repair needed on rings and so forth?
With that,
Do you think you have a similar amount of trouble with the grader rings themselves on rebuilds on some of that?
yeah, I mean, I think all the counties around have all the similar troubles, you know.
Did you ever remand one yet?
I've only specifically remanned engines and trannies. I haven't gone through this process of having all that stuff done. But it's crossed my mind to do that type of stuff, and it's probably something that we need to revisit because grader prices aren't going down. And whether or not, you know, it depends on how much that remand has gone up as compared to how much the new machines have gone up, you know, is where you would need to make that decision, but.
I think it's gonna be interesting to find out how well it works or.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I think it's just something that we had to try.
you got to try, otherwise does work good. You can.
Otherwise, this 5 years, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Nick.
Thanks.
But
Does anyone have anything else?
No.
Budget discussion, you know of anything?
No, all budget is when you have been in this seat. That's the way he likes it, so no, 0 on budget. I do know that, I just had somebody call in Winneshiek County Historic Preservation Commission. They're gonna get on the agenda for not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. And you have to have marks on, not for this Monday, but coming Monday, the following Monday. See, they're starting to roll in. I can give you that part of the update. As to getting down the nitty gritty, Ben.
Okay.
Historic has a couple of things coming up, but there's
New
several
engineering.
probably come at the same time with the appointments on the calendar, probably with the historic commission. So I think we've got 4 applicants for 2 positions.
there's a question.
Are we still working on a new engineer? Where are we at?
Yes, we are. We're actually gonna have an interview on Friday.
Pretty good prospect or where you at?
We'll find out.
We'll find out on Friday.
Haven't talked to me before. Completely new one?
Completely new. Thank you for asking.
I guess one other thing on the budget, we should probably look in, maybe check with Bushman Insurance. There's a lot of rumors going around that Iowa's or insurance is going up 20 to 40%. Price tag of our insurance, it goes up 40%. It'd be nice to have it. But I mean, I've heard that's 20 to 40 as well, because Iowa's second to Florida for claims.
He's on the derecho.
So it'd be, probably wouldn't be the worst. You should check with, when
Well,
we're
they
doing
usually come in
in
the month of December,
December. Yeah, so it'd be
so
interesting.
that should give us a little insight.
Because
And I can touch base with them, make sure that they are.
I'm looking at the calendar over there. I think it's, was that the 18th of December? He usually
you
gets right just before Christmas. Yeah,
it's
Tara
very
come in.
interesting to see what. Yeah,
We don't want to.
I mean, it's everybody you talk to when their policies come due. It's everybody's thinks
speaking of 18th, just one, this is from the auditor's office. We're planning how we're gonna handle claim sessions for December. Are you, as the group, thinking about being in? I think they're great. Yeah, that after Christmas, that 3-day week there. We kind of skipped that the last few years. And if that's the case, then what our plan will be is we'll have claim session on the 11th and the 18th. That'll be kind of cleanup for stuff that has specific due dates.
Sure.
If that is kind of where we're going, I'll send out a notice in that regard that we'll be doing that. I mean, there's nothing, you don't have to do anything official that we're not going to be meeting that week, but just so we know ahead, so we kind of get the department heads thinking about this.
I'm gonna be out of state on that, so I'd have to join by Zoom personally.
Between.
Yeah,
Usually skip it.
20.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, that was last year, it was.
And that's something you can make official.
Unless there's some emergency thing come up, we have to do or something.
Right,
I didn't say,
and there you just, if you can get a quorum in here for any
Yeah.
emergency, and that can be anytime you have something come up.
just perhaps the week of Christmas.
Should we just make it official right now before we adjourn?
We won't meet between Christmas and New Year's. And this is something you can just, as a group, I think that's what our plan is, consensus.
We should, we're all.
And like you
agreed
said,
right now.
if something emergency comes up, we can,
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm more than willing.
We're not gonna talk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be.
then do the second would be, we'll have a meeting on the second then,
Yes,
Tuesday the second.
yes, Tuesday the 2nd. You got better eyesight than I do, Mark. I can barely see the December over there. Time for an upgrade.
Every year.
It's getting, the older you get, the worse it is. Like, I used to be able to go a long time.
All right, if there's nothing else,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
we have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is now adjourned.
Well, you have Ben back in the seat, starting next Monday.
One goodbye quite so easy.
No.
Well, it's that time of year.
That is.
Minutes.
Marta, how are you?
How are you?
I can't manage. No.
Best luck on.
Yeah.
When you do exactly.
Yeah, about a week or so.
Actually. And there you go.
I'm 30, that's.
We just got back from Arizona. We're driving the roads of the world.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too long. So driving.
You guys want copies of the hard copy, the questions before? Or you, it was just getting, they're the same ones. Okay.
Does you harder to get these out.
They put a stupid.
Those are great tips. They're pushing.
There's an eye watching. You know.
You don't like it.
If you don't watch that, watch the road, it shuts off.
Okay, we rush.
I think that's very
Cool. Very good.
That what?
Very expensive.
Oh, I bet, but
Very safe.
It's not just the last week,
Maybe.
very.
It gives you about 5 seconds.
Or just move our team.
I said it, 82 miles an hour.
And it's just perfect. Closer.
Good. You're usually not here.
Puts the bike, it just goes out,
Oh.
comes back, puts the bike, comes back, so it's good.
And I don't know, it's not your.
Very safe.
Yeah.
Which,
Yes, you stay on board with me.
Yeah, then you get to be,
Thank you.
I,
Clear up.
it's a very helpful. Very helpful.
it's 7 for me then.
I've never.
If you're just gonna drive the speedway, you don't like. You can't put it on, you know, automatic drive on when you're.
Oh,
Yeah, I want.
You don't really. But it, I mean, it stays right in the center of the lane. It's beautiful way to drive.